When Marvel acquired the rights to the Predator and Alien franchise, they brought us a few stories that changed the way we think about these species. This gives them a chance to expand on the mythology and lore of the Yautja. For this video, we're going to look at the story of Predator, the Preserve. It was released in early 2023 and across 5 issues. The story opens up with a group of humans walking through a jungle. They seem to be running away from something, but they aren't sure what it is. One of them just says, "Damned if I know." Looked like the jungle came alive and gutted another soldier right in front of me. They should be quiet, but instead, they all try to run at the same time, as one of the men yells out, "Go, go, go!" And instantly, something invisible rushes the group. A fierce predator emerges from the shimmer of its camouflage, leaping towards one man and slicing his chest with its wrist blades. There's nothing they can do for him, so they run off. During their attempts of escape, one man twists his ankle during a fall. He calls out for help to a nearby member, but he is left behind to fend for himself. And shortly after, a predator tracks him down. He looks up towards the hunter, his eyes filled with fear, knowing his end is mere seconds away. The predator raises the spear weapon and plunges it into the man's chest. The warrior then screams in victory, another prey that was taken down by his hands. One of the men that ran off decides to come back and face off against the hunter, screaming as he runs forward, firing off his weapon. But his moment of bravery does not last long. With a quick swing of its sword, his head is chopped off by the predator. As the others continue running off, they stop for a moment and decide on what to do. There's tension between them as they cannot decide what is the best option for the group. Should they continue running or hold their ground and fight together? Before they can decide, one of the men spots a predator up on the trees. It's here. It found them. With a quick jump from above to the ground, this hunter lunges towards one man below, and with its incredible strength, all it took was a single swipe, and that human was cut in half at the waist. One female lady nearby keeps shooting in the direction of the hunter, while she calls out, "They're everywhere!" implying there are more hunters they should watch out for. 2 survivors are then confronted by an unknown man. He brings them back to a cave where others are hiding. They all explain the last thing they remember, but the conclusion is the same. Every one of them suddenly woke up with a flash of light as they fell through the sky towards this land, and with a parachute strapped on their backs. It's the same idea from the Predators movie in 2010, which was also adapted to some other comic book stories, where these Yautja groups would capture humans that were seen as worthy prey, then transport them back to the game preserve planet to hunt them down. As everyone explains their current line of expertise, none of them can figure out what year it currently is. It's a big guess from 1987 all the way up to around 2055. One theory is that they were put to sleep somehow and only woken up when it was time for them to be hunted. Another man even says he woke up feeling nausea, cramps, and soreness. These were similar symptoms when you woke up from a coma. Another lady explains that she and her partner were part of the OWLF, which is the Otherworldly Life Forms program from the Predator 2 movie that took place in Los Angeles. She explains that they had files on these creatures, which they call predators, dating back to 1987, 1997, and 2018. For a while, the OWLF was then replaced by Project Stargazer. around the time they captured a predator in 2018, but it escaped and a lot of military personnel were eliminated. The two of them survived because they were on their honeymoon at the time. The survivors would later search any deceased people in the jungle in search of weapons and ammunition. They would need a lot of bullets to take down these predators. Soon after, the team would see crates falling from the sky with parachutes strapped to them. The crates could have supplies, or maybe nothing at all and just used as bait. Or the crates could have food. The group takes a vote and they decide to head towards the crates just to see what was there. Upon reaching one of them, they discover there's nothing inside that they could use. This is not a supply crate. It was actually used to transport something living. Seconds later, a massive beast emerges, using its tentacles from the mouth. It latches onto one of the men and holds him in place, as the others shoot their weapons upon it. This thing kind of reminds me of something from the Pathogen expansion of the game Aliens Fireteam Elite. They share a similar skin color, tentacles from the mouth, and appendages on the back of the body. As the creature takes plenty of damage, it releases that man and charges at the others, grabbing another man with its appendages on its back, while reaching out to the other survivors. Their weapons seem to barely have any effect on the creature. It charges the group one more time, but one of the men throws an explosive device, and the blast is strong enough to stop the creature. Everyone gathers around the body of the creature and is unsure what this thing is. It certainly is not like the hounds that were used in the past. One member assumes that the predators are collecting deadly creatures and using this place as a hunting preserve. Then, with a blink of an eye, the creature awakens. Even with all the injuries, it's ready to continue fighting. But as quick as it rises, it soon gets eliminated, not by a human, but by a nearby predator. It wastes no time. It moves through the trees quickly. Then jumping towards a human, it swings its powerful arms and cuts a human from the back with its wrist blades. This hunter throws the shuriken projectile and takes down another man with it. It seems like things are getting worse by the second. It punches at another man, causing him to fall up against a tree. Before the predator can continue its assault, someone calls out and says, "Hey, leave him alone." As the predator turns around, it gets shot by someone else. The person who saved them is Theta Berwick, along with Paulo. This was a character from another Predator story from Marvel in 2022. It was called Predator: Day of the Hunter. When Theta was very young, her parents were killed by a predator with 3 mandibles. She alone survived the attack. As she got older, she started hunting predators, hoping to find the one responsible for her family's death. The final issue of that story has Theta finally going up against the predator she's always been looking for. She wins the battle, but it does not end there. She knows there are many more out there, and she vows to eliminate all of them. Alright, so back to the main story. A few predators would come across the one that was defeated by Theta in the jungle. You know, the one that wreaked havoc on a few survivors earlier in the story. So these hunters would place an explosive device on their fallen comrade, and as they walk away, it detonates. This is typically seen as a way to keep their technology away from other species. Remember all those crates from earlier? Well, it turns out some of them had more living creatures inside. These ones are the river ghost creatures seen in the 2010 movie Predators. More of them were brought to the preserve. Paulo later reveals the year and date, which is around April 13th in 2062. This comes as a big shock to Isla, because the last year she remembers before she was brought to this preserve was 2022. They wonder if maybe the predators are time travelers. But Theta has been on their ships before, and she confirms to have never seen anything about time travel capabilities. But since one member is from the 1980s and another from around 2055, a possible theory is that they were kept on ice up until the time when they were needed to be hunted, that is. Theta even says she was not aware of this at all. They locate one deceased predator's ship. Theta goes inside to search for something as the others stay behind. The group wonders why only single targets were taken instead of a platoon of soldiers. Perhaps the predators want to test themselves against as many fighting styles as possible. Everyone is either a soldier or fighting in a war, but one member does not seem to fit this category. The large man that is known to deal with drunks at the pub. Perhaps his physical strength is the reason he's here. Theta would return and start leading the team back to the Sandpiper ship. They reach it, but things go bad very quickly. Out of nowhere, a blast of energy tears through the body of one man. It's an ambush. One member is so scared that he runs onto the ship right away. Theta hands over some items taken from the ship she found earlier. Paolo holds onto it and tells everyone to get on board. Meanwhile, Theta engages the enemy head on. That one person who ran onto the ship earlier is now planning to steal the ship. Because the security software is so outdated, it's very easy to get stolen, and that's what happens. The ship starts up and begins to move away from everyone on the ground. This event causes Theta to get distracted, which gives the predator a chance to attack her, and with a quick swing of its weapon, it cuts off the arm of Theta. She then falls to her knees in pain. She even calls out to the predator by saying, "Do it. Just end it, you bastard." With the rescue ship taking off without them, and Theta needing help, it seems like things couldn't get any more worse. But they do. A pack of river ghost creatures emerges and charges forward. You might think the odds were against the humans, but things don't go as they thought. These creatures target the predator instead, which gives the humans a bit of time to escape. Meanwhile, the Sandpiper ship that was stolen by Kiyoshi has coordinates changed to Earth. The estimated travel time is around 252 days. Before he can initiate the new route for the ship, Aja shows up behind him, gun pointed at his head, and warning him not to lay his fingers on the keyboard. Kiyoshi says he wants to go home, because Theta was only going to drop them off at a nearby Astar outpost. He does not trust Astar because they are only driven by profit, and there's nothing to gain by transporting a few people back to Earth. But if they knew all the survivors were put in stasis for half a century, then they might run experiments on them. That's something Kiyoshi does not want to be part of. With Theta being seriously injured, the group has very few options. But just then, the Sandpiper ship returns, and Aja tells them to get on board. The story goes back to that lone predator fighting against those river ghost creatures. This predator seems to have met his match. It appears tired and is outnumbered, but is then saved by another predator. While the maskless predator was not actually defeated in battle, it still activates the self-destruct device, something they normally do when they lose in combat or have no escape. Back on the Sandpiper ship, Kiyoshi has been locked up for his actions of stealing the ship and trying to leave everyone behind. At least he's safe for now, because Aja was calling to have him left behind, but the other survivors did not agree with her. Meanwhile, Theta is undergoing a special procedure. After it's done, all they can do is wait and hope her body will accept the new arm she was given. On another section of the ship, Isla and Lucas are exploring the technology Theta acquired on her battles with other predators. The amount she had here was so much than what the OWLF ever had during its time of operation. Isla had previously seen Paolo plug a device into the computer system. She was able to discover what some of that data was. Theta had kept logs of the locations on all her encounters with predators. Theta even made predictions of where these hunters might go next, and the next stop they might go to is Earth. But Isla is unsure if this data is from past events, because a lot of data has only been partially transcribed. Ever since Theta saved Paolo from another predator, he stuck by her side on all her missions. They followed their hunting routes, but had no idea other humans would be on this preserve when they came here. Her goal was to find their homeworld so she could wipe them all out, instead of hunting them down one by one. In 20 years of hunting them, Theta has taken down 31 predators, but it's not enough for her. She wants to eliminate all of them. Lucas and Isla then decide to take matters into their own hands. They sneak up on Aja and knock her out. They release Kiyoshi from his cell. They need him to fly the ship back to Earth. They plan on taking the ship for their own reasons, but little do they know, one predator from the preserve is following them. His ship is en route to intercept the Sandpiper ship. When Theta wakes up, she realizes that she now has a new arm. Paolo tells her that they could not save her original arm. She's told that Kiyoshi tried to steal a Sandpiper ship and is locked up, but they don't know what's really going on now. Meanwhile, when Kiyoshi is free from his cell, he feels like taking Aja's life, but Isla tells him they can't do that. They're not criminals, so Kiyoshi agrees for now. Theta then wants to see the data from the black box she collected on that predator ship earlier, but is surprised that it's already turned on. She requests to see any footage of who's been in the control center since they left. Before she's given that information, she loses contact with Sandy. We can see that Isla and Kiyoshi are expecting Paolo to check on the system. He might come with someone just in case. That would leave only Alan or Omar in the control room, and they might be armed. Paolo takes Omar with him to check on what's wrong with the system. It could just be a panel that needs restarting. When the system is back on, Theta can access the security cameras. Theta gets a feeling something is not right. This is not a normal malfunction problem. She's worried about this, so she makes her way to the armory. Aja tries to warn Lucas that what he's doing is wrong. Theta and Paolo risked their lives to save them, but Lucas knows the data that Theta collected could save millions of lives on Earth, instead of using it for her own personal revenge against the predators. Just then, Aja yells out to Lucas, "There's something behind you." The masked predator from earlier had tracked them down and snuck onto their ship. Lucas gets eliminated by a bladed weapon impaling him from behind. The predator leaves a bloody handprint on the glass window where Aja looks out of. Then she kneels down in her cell and starts to panic. Paolo mentions to Omar that this ship is pretty old and there's always something that needs to be fixed. So this situation seems like a normal occurrence to Paolo. Upon reaching the panel that needs repairs, they discover that it's not a malfunction. Someone ripped it out on purpose. When Kiyoshi and Isla reach the control room, they access the security cameras to find Lucas is now deceased. They also see that a predator is on board. Now that they have control of the ship, Kiyoshi will close off all access points to the control room. They should be safe inside. Meanwhile, Theta starts to put on her hunting gear, preparing for the worst. The armor she has is powered by an exoskeleton built inside. She's more mobile with it, and she can grab anything. Alan used to work for a crime firm in Leeds. He's not a soldier, but he sure can fight. As Paolo tries to contact Theta, he can't reach her. Their comms are cut off, and little do they know, a predator is watching them very closely. This predator targets Omar by slicing his back with its wrist blades. Omar suffers a huge wound, screaming in pain. Paolo tries to shoot the hunter, but it just retaliates by cutting off the hand of Omar. Then, Omar's life comes to an end as the predator rams its wrist blades through Omar's back and out his chest. Paolo is unable to do anything. Omar is gone, so Paolo is filled with fear and runs off. Theta and Alan can hear gunshots in the distance. They move along, but carefully. Alan says it's been close to 80 years since he was taken from Earth, and there's probably nobody left to go back to, so he offers to help Theta with the combat skills he acquired long ago. Back in the control room, Isla and Kiyoshi saw what happened to Lucas and Omar. Isla is now thinking that they should go out there and help the others, but Kiyoshi tells her that the safest place right now is inside this room. It's not their problem. As she looks back at the body of Lucas on the screen, maybe she made the wrong choice. As Paolo runs down a hall, he can hear Aja calling for help from her cell. He opens it to let her out. They're not sure what happened to the others, but Aja vows to stop that hunter. Shortly after, Theta and Alan would bump into Paolo and Aja. She explains that Omar and Lucas are gone, while Kiyoshi and Isla have taken control of the ship. Then, out of nowhere, Isla shows up and explains why she came back to help them after she betrayed them earlier. She apologizes for everything as she did not intend for it to go this way. She and Lucas had a 4-year-old daughter when they were taken away. She would be in her 40s by now, possibly with her own family. Isla says that maybe they would be seen as heroes if they brought back all this alien tech and information to the OWLF. And perhaps her daughter would understand why they were gone for so long, but things did not go as planned. When she turned on that black box, it gave away her position to the predator. She is the reason that Omar and Lucas are gone. Kiyoshi, on the other hand, continues to hold his ground, unwilling to open the doors for them. Meanwhile, Theta asks Paolo if he can rewire the power to the doors of the control deck. This way, they can get inside. It's the only room that's reinforced enough to keep that predator out. As Paolo works on getting the door open, the others stand guard. But it's not long before they make contact with the enemy. This fierce warrior lunges towards them, and Alan is the first one to go down. Paolo continues to work on getting the door open. He just needs a little more time. The enemy pulls out the shuriken weapon, unfolds it, then tosses it towards them. The weapon pierces into Aja's body. Paolo finally gets the door open, but Kiyoshi confronts them right away. He's knocked down when Theta throws a punch to his face. As they walk inside the room, they leave Kiyoshi to his fate at the hands of the predator. It then charges Paolo afterwards, and tossing him aside like he's nothing. Then it focuses on Theta and pins her to the ground. She reaches for her sword, but it's tossed away by the predator. This fierce and strong warrior hovers over Theta. It removes her mask and stares at her, almost as if these were her last few seconds alive. But at the right moment, Aja shows up and strikes the creature in the back with a bladed weapon. The predator screams in pain. Then Aja tosses a weapon to Theta. She unloads the weapon on the face of the enemy, firing off all the rounds until it's empty. It's done. The fight is over, and only the 3 of them survived. The story then picks up 6 months later in Tusket. Theta drops Aja as close as she can to a nearby Astar base. Theta agrees to hand over one of her black boxes to the OWLF. Theta was trying to save all 8 of them, but that did not work out. So perhaps sharing the data on the black box might save more lives after all. As for Paolo and Theta, well, they will continue their hunt for other predators, but this time to find other people that are being kept in stasis. The last image we see is the Sandpiper ship taking off, and Aja's vehicle going in another direction. They part ways with their own goals in mind. And this ends the story of Predator: The Preserve. As I look back at all the issues, I feel as if the jungle part had the most action and it explained most of the story. The predators here were fierce and put up a good fight. They also did not hold back on the gore. Yeah, it was pretty gruesome. It's a good story that brings back Theda Berwick, mixed in with survivors on the preserve, along with a pack of river ghost creatures and 3 predators. The ending is left open for it to be continued in some way. It's a good story with some nice artwork, so I would recommend you pick up all the issues to see every page. So that's it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.